Born in Canada?
Born in Peru.
Born in Peru, okay. And where in Peru?
Cusco.
Cusco. This is Jade, is it Weeks?
Yeah, that's how you pronounce it.
W-E-E-K-E-S.
K-E-S.
W-E-E-K-E-S. And you're a member of the Newcomers in Vancouver group?
Yeah.
Okay. And you were born in Peru. What's Cusco like?
Cusco is like, well, now it's very touristy. Before, because like it's not like the main capital. It's kind of more, it's way more touristy now, so it's like a nice stepping stone to get to Machu Picchu, to go into the countryside. There's tons of steps and hills and everything, and driving a cab around there is
How far is it from Lima?
I think it was like a 20-minute plane ride.
20-minute plane ride. Okay, not very far then.
No.
When did you come to Canada?
Well, I was adopted from birth.
Okay.
And my mom had to stay there for about a couple months until I was old enough to go on an airplane.
Okay.
So she has tails, and at that time there was a lot of civil unrest and tanks rolling in the streets and
all over Peru, or
mostly in the cities.
Okay.
And so she has tales of just staying in a hotel room for the majority of her kind of visit. But when I was old enough, we went to Halifax.
Okay.
And then made our way from Halifax to Winnipeg, to Vancouver, and then made it our home to the Sunshine Coast.
So Jade was just telling me his adopted mom became his mom from birth.
Yeah.
There was unrest in Peru at the time. I imagine tanks and shooting and all kinds of other things, political and the rest.
Yeah.
So his mom decided to take you to Canada.
Yeah.
So that meant they ended up in Halifax.
Yeah.
Do you remember, or have you ever asked her why she went to Halifax first?
That's where they were currently living. They had eloped out to Halifax. They lived in Vancouver where all the family was, and then they wanted to get married, so they took a plane across Halifax and got married.
Okay.
Where none of the other family could come and see the wedding.
Oh, okay. So they didn't want the family, or?
They're just kind of rebellious kids kind of thing. I don't know. I didn't get the full story.
Okay.
But they always joke about it, that they gave their parents, like, I think a week's warning of the wedding, and they're like, yeah, we're having the wedding, and they're like, oh great, and when? And they're like, a week in Halifax, and they left on a plane.
So did the man she married did he adopt you as well?
Yeah. They're both the whitest people imaginable.
Is he Canadian or Peruvian too?
They were both Canadian, so.
Oh, your mom's Canadian as well?
Yeah, so two of the whitest people adopted me from birth.
I'll ask you some questions in front of this clock here. Just stand over here. I think we got some good light still. So let me go back over this, Jade. Your mom and dad were both Canadian.
Yeah.
And you just said there were two of the whitest people.
Yeah,
you were born to Peruvian family in Peru. Any contact? Did you ever find your biological?
My dad left left the picture before I was born.
Okay.
My mom had a grade 2 or 3 education.
Okay.
She already had 6 kids, so I have a bunch of brothers and sisters.
Biological. Okay.
And just had a bunch of financial strain, put me up for adoption, and I was able to get adopted by 2 of the kindest people I've ever met in my life.
Right out of the hospital.
Yeah.
And there was they went to Peru to adopt, or they were living there at the time?
No, they flew all the way down, and my dad could stay for a week before he had to go back for work.
Okay.
And my mom was able to stay for a couple months as I got older, to be big enough to go on an airplane.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you came back as a baby with your new mom and dad to Halifax, and you lived there how many years?
Ooh, those are all blurry. All I know is I got to Vancouver when I was 6.
Okay, 6 years later, and you've lived here ever since?
Yeah, like I grew up on the Sunshine Coast, which is just a ferry ride away from Vancouver, in the amazing town of Roberts Creek.
Okay.
And shout out to all the Creekers and all the hippies and everyone there. I love it. But it was interesting growing up there because I didn't realize how rich of an environment it was.
Okay.
How financially off a lot of people were living there. Not everyone was, but most. Okay. And also just how white a town
when
it was.
When you say how white, what does that mean?
Like, I didn't see my next person of color until I was in midway through elementary school. Okay. And then there was this African mom that moved into the town and had a kid that went to school, and I remember I never really thought of anything of it. My friends treated me great. I was never racially profiled. My parents great at bringing me to soccer practices and things, but it wasn't until I came to Vancouver where I really realized just how diverse cities can actually be.
Okay.
And I loved it. I remember my first time sitting in college, a week after I graduated high school, I got in my car, drove here as quick as I could, and I'm sitting in the class, and this guy comes up and he's like, "Hey, what type of brown music do you like?" And I was like, brown music.
Brown music, okay.
I was like,
was he from India?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and because he had just assumed I was Indian. Okay. And I was like, "Oh, what do you mean?" My mind was blown. He showed me a ton of artists, and from then on, like, it's been a whole new world, kind of getting out of that small town.
Here, somebody asked you what kind of brown music you like, and then you realized how diverse the world was here in Vancouver.
Here in Vancouver,
there were people from every different possible spectrum.
Yeah.
So, from then until now, what's your life involved? What do you're a promoter? I'm not sure exactly. Tell me your story. Tell me about your hair, your lipstick. Tell me about you.
So when I moved here in 2009, I was going to college for audio engineering. Okay. I wanted to be a musician, but I didn't want to be a classical musician. I didn't want to be a jazz musician. So I really wanted to do more. So I ended up going to recording school. Okay. When I was doing recording school, I met a ton of people, and I started working for Universal Records, doing a lot of. There was a studio just up the street there. It was an old bank vault. We converted into a studio. It was great. I love working with the producer, and we worked with many awesome clients on many TV shows, soundtracks, movies, music, all that kind of great stuff. And
what were something that you worked in?
There was a TV show called Hellcats.
Yeah. I've got a YouTube.
Yeah.
Called he wanted a Hellcat or something. It's when I was interviewing somebody, ironically from second generation from Punjabi, but he wanted a Hellcat. He met a girl. His girlfriend lives in Pennsylvania, going to university. Yeah. And she said, "Don't be an idiot. You don't need a Hellcat. Get a small car that you can afford. I'm not going to put us into debt." So it was called Hellcats, and you worked on that.
Yeah, it was basically like a Glee spin-off series where it was very musical, high school based. AJ and Ali Michalka. It was great. It was great. They had a ton of musical guests come in. But it was very music based. So we
Okay.
got to do a lot of covers. We did some like modern covers. We did some. So we had some guests like Faber Drive come in. We had Lucas Gabriel from High School Musical. Just tons of.
Was it a band you were playing in?
No, I was just doing audio engineering.
Let's go down one more block and we'll come back.
Yeah,
Audio. Okay, you were doing the audio engineering.
Yeah, so I was recording and editing and mixing, and it really taught me what it takes to be a professional.
Was
And
that self-taught or did you go to school for that?
I went to school, but you quickly learn that you can throw all your school out the window when you're in the real world, because they teach you a bunch of things in school, like, oh no, yeah, you should make sure this level is good before you do this. When you're in the real world, it's how fast can you get that microphone set up.
Right. The practicalities of how much money can we make and how much money can we not lose.
Exactly. So it's all about time, effort. You're in, you're out. The session's maybe 2 hours. You're not wasting anyone's time making sure the microphone works.
Okay.
You got it up running before they even step in the door.
Okay.
But
so this went on how long? The audio engineering part, Universal Studios, maybe you contracted to other studios as well?
yeah, well, I worked there for about 2.5 years before wanting to take what I learned working with Universal and applying it to the local music scene here.
Okay.
I knew a lot of bands, a lot of musicians that just couldn't really put their best foot forward because they didn't know how to, either do good photos, write a good bio, all this kind of stuff.
So everything up to performing
Yeah.
was difficult for musicians, bands that you came to know here in Vancouver.
Yeah, it's a music business, and a lot of people get lost in the business side of it because they're not business people. They're musicians. They
Right.
love writing songs. They don't want to sit and think about writing grants,
Right.
or how to write a good bio that'll get you actually somewhere in the world.
Right. So did that turn into a business for you, or?
Yeah, so I started this company, Hammer Records.
Hammer.
Hammer,
Okay.
Yeah.
Here in Vancouver.
Yeah.
By yourself?
With my partner at the time.
Okay.
And me and her, I met her when at the recording studio, and
Okay.
we had similar interests. She was on the island, she came over, and we basically started this from the ground up. We started working with Live Nation, doing a lot of photos and reviews of bigger shows. We worked with everyone from Headley to like Faber Drive again. There's a bunch of different people. It was great. It was I loved it. And then when we ended up splitting, the company dissolved, and that's when I started this now company, Support the Scene.
Support
The Scene.
the scene.
Yeah.
So Hammer went away. You had a girlfriend.
Yeah.
That dissolved.
Yeah.
the business dissolved.
Yeah.
Were there any negative repercussions on the business side as a result of that?
I think